Friends, all of you are welcome again into my economics class. In the previous class, we have discussed about the concept of perfect competition and the concept of market, concept of perfect competition, and different characteristics of the perfect competition. So, after then, next topic to be discussed in this class is about the shapes of the average revenue and the marginal revenue in perfectly competitive market. So the question may come as like, that is, what is the shapes of AR and MR curve in perfectly competitive market? So long as we have got the concept of what competitive market or perfectly competitive market, now what are the shapes of the average revenue and the marginal revenue curve in the perfectly competitive market, or draw the price line in perfectly competitive market, or why does average revenue and marginal revenue curves are same in perfect competition. So these are all similar questions and the answer is same. That means the types of the questions are different here, but the answer will be same. Now before going to discuss the main content of this question, first you learn what is average revenue and what is marginal revenue curve. I think in the average revenue sector and cost sector, you have got the concepts of revenue and cost. Now relating to the question, that is average the shapes of the average revenue and marginal revenue in the perfectly competitive market. Now we see the definition of the average revenue and the marginal revenue first. So average revenue is what? It is the literally it is the amount of the revenue per unit of the product. So how can we derive it? That means when we divide the total revenue of the firm by the quantity produced, then it is called the average revenue. That is total revenue. How can you get it? There is also a separate formula to find out the value of the total revenue, that is P into Q. Here P implies what? Price of the commodity, and Q implies quantity produced. So when we multiplied both price of the commodity and quantity produced, then we get the total revenue. So when the amount of total revenue is divided by quantity produced, then we get what? Average revenue. And this average revenue is also called as the price of the commodity. How and why this is called as the price of the commodity, you see. So the formula for deriving or getting average revenue is total revenue by quantity. Now placing the value of the total revenue here in the numerator, you get what? P into Q. So total revenue is nothing but the price of the commodity multiplied by the quantity produced in the firm. So here you place P into Q, and then here it is Q. So now Q will be cancelled. Ultimately there will be what? AR equal to P. So price of the commodity is called as the average revenue. So sometimes you may ask why the average revenue is equal to price. Then you deduct this situation or the algebraical equation, then you will get average revenue equal to price. So average revenue is what? It is the amount of revenue per unit of the commodity. So how can you derive it? It is TR by Q. Now we move to the marginal revenue. Marginal revenue. So you have got the concept of marginal utility, I think. And marginal means the last or the additional unit. So selling the amount of last unit of the commodity, what amount of revenue we get or earn, it is called revenue, marginal revenue. That means it is the revenue of the additional unit of the product. So how can you derive it? There is also a separate formula, delta TR by delta Q. Here delta TR implies change in total revenue, and here delta Q implies change in quantity. So when we get this ratio between this change in total revenue and change in quantity, then we will get what? Marginal revenue, or simply it is, or literally it is called as the revenue earned through selling the last unit of the product. What amount of revenue we get, it is called as the marginal revenue. There is also a separate formula to find out the marginal revenue, that is TRN minus TRN minus 1. So when we subtract the amount of total revenue of nth item from each previous item, that is TRN minus 1, that means n minus 1th item, then we get what? Marginal revenue. So I think these are discussed by your respected Shikha ma'am in the revenue chapter. I think you have got the concept. Now we move to the main topic. Now you see the condition of what? Average revenue and marginal revenue in the perfectly competitive market. So you see the line, in the perfectly competitive market, firms are the price takers and therefore cannot change the price of the product. So here we see that in the perfectly competitive market, what happened? That means there are large numbers of firms producing the same unit of the commodity. So this is the first characteristics of the perfectly competitive market, and the firms who are engaged in the production of the same commodity, it is called as the industry. That means all the firms combinedly call as the industry. So here no individual firm can fix the price of its commodity. That means it is fixed by the industry. It is the decision of the all firms, not a single firm. That means single firm cannot influence the price of the commodity. Only the industry will fix the price of commodity. So this is the situation of the perfectly competitive market. Did you get my point? So firm is called as the price taker. It is not the price maker. So you may also ask that why the firm in the perfectly competitive market is called as the price taker, not as a price maker, because the individual firm in the perfectly competitive market cannot influence or determine the price of the commodity. Therefore firm is called as the price taker only. That means all the firms under the industry should follow the price fixed by the industry. Okay, so here AR, that is average revenue, is same for all the units of the output sold. That means therefore price is fixed by the industry. What price will be taken by industry, it will be fixed by the that means what price will be followed by the firm, it will be fixed by the industry. Therefore average revenue is also called as the price of the commodity. So average revenue will be what? Same, or price will be same in all the markets, all the farm situation, all the farms actually. So same price or same average revenue will be there. That means what amount of commodity sold in the market, and then the average revenue will be unit or same. In this case marginal revenue is also be constant and equal to the average revenue. So as the average revenue is constant, therefore marginal revenue will be same or equal with the average revenue. Both the value of AR and MR are same, therefore both the curves are coincide or parallel to OX axis. So here the value of average revenue as well as marginal revenue are same, we'll get later. Then the curve, that is average revenue curve and marginal revenue curve, will be coincide. Coincide means that is parallel to the OX axis. How can it how the marginal revenue and average revenue curve is coincide? This can be explained with the help of a table and diagram. First you check the table. Here quantity, first column, 1 2 3 4 5, these are what? 5 quantity of the commodity. Then this is price of the commodity, and this can also be indicated by P. So for the first unit of the commodity, price is taken as 10. For the second commodity, that means all are unique price. That means firm cannot influence the price of the commodity. So while he is selling 5 units of the commodity, he is taking the same or constant price for each product. Now determine the total revenue, and the formula for determining total revenue is what? P into Q. This is the formula that you have got. So 10 into 1 10, 10 into 2 20, 10 into 3 30, likewise 10 into 4 40, and 10 into 5 50. These are the value of the total revenue. Okay, now get the value of average revenue. And how can you get it? Average revenue is equal to TR by Q. So 10 by 1, it is 10. 20, the amount of total revenue is 20, so 20 by 2, it is equal to 10. Then again 30 by 3, number of units is 3, so it will be 10 again. 40 by 4, so it will be 10, and again 50 by 5, it will be 10. So these are the value of the average revenue. And this is the last column where we are measuring the amount of marginal revenue, and the formula is what? Delta TR by delta Q. And how can you get it? That means with the help of the total revenue. For the first unit of the commodity, the marginal revenue will be same as the average revenue, so it is 10 10 10. And then for the second unit, what is the process that we adopt? 20 minus 10, 20 minus 10. That means we have to subtract the value of the total revenue of the previous unit from this unit, that is 20 minus 10. That means first from the second, and again second from the third. 30 minus 20, 30 minus 20, amount will be 10. Again 40 minus 30, it will be 10. 50 minus 40, it is 10. So this is the process and procedure of finding out what? Amount of marginal revenue. Or there is also another process that you can apply here, that is delta TR. The amount of delta TR will be what? For the second unit, 10 minus 20, it will be here 20. And delta Q, delta Q means what? 2 minus 1, that is 1. The result of the change in the amount of quantity will be 2 minus 1, 3 minus 2, 4 minus 3, 5 minus 4, all will be 1. So here you place 1. The value of the delta Q, or the change in amount of the commodity, will be 1 1 each. So when you divide the amount of total revenue by this change in what? Quantity, then you will get the same result, is 10 for all the units of the commodity. Now you see the value of the price is exactly equal to the value of average revenue, and it is equal to the marginal revenue. So 10 10 10 for each unit of the commodity. 10 10 10, again here also 10 in all 3 columns, and again 10 in all 3 columns for the 4th unit, and 10 10 10 for all units for the 5th unit. So from this point of view, we can come to a solution, that is, in perfectly competitive market, P is always equal to average revenue, and average revenue is always equal to marginal revenue. And this is the condition of the perfectly competitive market. This is the situation of the perfectly competitive market. I think you can get the concept, and this is the explanation of the table. That means all the firms are taking the same price or similar price, which is fixed by the industry. Here it is 10. So that means in your own language you can explain it. Okay, for each unit you can explain it. You can also increase the explanation, and then you find out the value of 2R, AR and MR, and lastly you move to the next explanation, that is diagrammatical explanation. Now here we have drawn 2 diagrams. It is the first diagram, and it is for what? Industry. So what is the process of the fixation of the price of the commodity in the industry? So we have to take the help of demand and supply curve to get the price of the commodity. This is the demand curve, and this is downward sloping, all of you know about it. And this is the supply curve, and it is upward sloping, all of you know about it. Why demand curve is downward sloping? Because there is an inverse relationship or indirect relationship between price of the commodity and demand for the commodity, that I have told you earlier. As price increases, demand falls, and as price decreases, demand increases. This is the condition and situation. Therefore the demand curve is downward sloping. And again, this is supply curve, and it is upward sloping because there is a positive relationship between price and supply of the commodity. What exactly happens in case of the price and supply situation or relation? As price increases, suppliers used to supply more unit of the commodity in the market, so supply increases. When price increases, supply increases, and when price falls, supply also falls, because the amount of or rate of profit declines as the price of commodity falls, and therefore the supplier will intend to decline or decrease the amount of supply. That's why supply curve is positively sloped. Now it is the intersection point between demand curve and supply curve, and hence OP is the amount of price fixed in the market, and this price is fixed in the industry. That means how it fixed by the industry? Because it is the decisions taken by some leading firms in fixation of the price of the commodity. Some barometric firms or the leading firms or large firms will decide what price will be followed, and this price will be accordingly with the equalization between demand for the commodity and supply of the commodity. When demand for the commodity and supply of the commodity are equal in the market, then the price of the commodity is fixed. So later we'll discuss about the equilibrium condition and how price of the commodity is fixed there. We'll discuss later in this next chapter or next unit, same unit in the next chapter, chapter number 10. So then it will be more clear there. Now this is the price, and this is fixed in the industry through the intersection of demand and supply curve, and this price will be followed by the firm. So this is the situation of the firm. It is the OP price, it is fixed in the industry, and this firm is, suppose this is firm A, firm is following this price of the commodity. So it cannot influence the price. I have already told you the price of the commodity cannot be influenced by the individual firm. What price is fixed by the industry, it will be taken in the firm. So this is price line, or this is also ARN, average revenue and marginal revenue curve, because all the values here are equal. Therefore the price line or the average revenue or the marginal revenue will be coincide. Here price equal to average revenue. I have already shown you how price is equal to average revenue. Now you see the situation, average revenue is always equal to marginal revenue. Because why average revenue is equal to marginal revenue in the perfectly competitive market, firm in the perfectly competitive market? Because there is no change in the price of the commodity. That means constant price is there, and this constant price is followed by every firm, and this ultimately fixed by the industry. That's why average revenue is always equal to marginal revenue. If there is a variation or change in the average revenue, then marginal revenue will be also be changed. But here we see what the average revenue is constant, price of the commodity is constant. Average revenue is nothing but the price of the commodity. So when price or average revenue is constant here, this fixed by the industry, therefore marginal revenue is equal to the average revenue. That means average revenue is equal to marginal revenue, and the curve for average revenue and marginal revenue are coincide. So this is our result or discussion or the solution of this question. So I think you have got the concept, and any doubt, then you can ask me. Thank you.